Good afternoon and welcome to 365 Days of Amazing Stories with Theo Mayer. Here we are on day 234 and I'm continuing the stories from 1001 Arabian Nights, specifically the story of the lame man from Baghdad. And you might remember that, the Christian merchant had tried to tell a good story. The steward had tried to tell a good story. The Jewish physician had tried to tell a good story. And now it was the tailor's turn to try to tell a good story in order to keep themselves from being hung for the hunchback's death. For all those men had, they thought, killed the hunchback. The king was waiting to hear a story that was better than the adventures of the hunchback. I remember that this tailor had gone to a dinner banquet that a friend was hosting, and when his friend, the host, came in with the young man almost walked straight back out, because sitting there at the table that they were going to dine at was a barber who he felt was the most wretched person on the planet, and who he said was responsible for him being lame. And he said he would not sit and eat with him. He said he would not live in a city where that barber lived. And he even went so far as to say he had left Baghdad because of that barber. And now that he had found out that the barber was living in the same city that he was, he said he would leave before nightfall. This is how wretched he thought this barber was. Now, the assembly had retained him. They had gotten him to sit down and relate the story of what had happened. And so he had told the story of his father, his great wealth, how he'd left him with his wealth, how he'd grown up kind of hating women, till he saw, after having run away from some robbers that were going to steal from him, he saw, having gone down an alley, a woman appear from a window that set his heart afire. And as he was sitting after she had departed, just lost in love, her father came, who was the judge, the head judge of Baghdad. He tied up his shoe mule and went into his home. The servant came out. The man went home and was ill for so many days. His family was worried. Eventually, an old woman came who was immediately aware of what had happened. Some kind of intuition led her to recite many verses that let him know that she knew. And after telling her his story, she agreed that she would go to this woman who she knew on his behalf, whispering in his ear that she would go. She left. And now I will tell the story from his perspective, the young man himself. I waited expectantly for her return, and my appetite was good. I ate. I regained myself. But in not so many days, she returned. She came to me and she said, I'm sorry. I bring you worse news than I thought. For when I mentioned your name to her, I pleaded your case. Well, after some moments, she said to me, woman, stop your chatter. If you speak his name again, I will have you punished. I will have to tell my father what you are doing. She stopped me completely. Here I come to you with the news, no news at all that is good. I am sorry, but this is all I have to tell you. When I heard this, I became more ill and more sick and more disheartened than I had before. I did not know what to do. My heart was taken a wicked love, I thought. Reciting some verses I had heard about a man being in love and not having it reciprocated in any way, to the point where he was lost in sorrow, lost in life, lost in his way, lost spending his time doing nothing but mourning. I went back to my bed. I got worse than I'd been before. And again, my relatives were so concerned about me, and doctors were sent for, which none could do anything to cure me. I was wasting away, emaciated. I could not eat, could have barely drink. I only drank because my mouth would get so dry. Then one day the old woman, she came again. She said to me, she came up close, "You must reward me for the news I bear." I said, "Of course the reward is yours. What is it?" Oh. I met again with the young lady, and I told her that there's a man. Well, I have to tell you, she asked me what was wrong because I came in looking very sorrowful, and I told her there's a young man who's wasting away. I fear he will die. And it's all because of you. The young woman, she said, "A man dying because of me? How could a young man be dying because of me?" I told her about you. I told her what had happened. You were deeply and madly in love with her because she had rejected you in such a way that you wasting away, and I feared that you would not live for more than a day or two more. "Oh my God," she said. "What news is this? I cannot bear to hear it." If he really truly feels that way, then have him come to me. I pray. Have him come to me on Friday, before the noontime prayers. I will bring him up to my room, and we can visit for some time before my father returns. Go then and tell him this news. So here I've returned. Friday, I said to her, and she said, "Yes, Friday, before the noon prayer." When the old woman shared this news with me, you can imagine, I sat up in bed. I felt my energy returning. I got out of bed and went downstairs, and again I immediately had food prepared for me. My relatives were happy to see me well again. And I waited Friday, building my strength each day with beautiful food that my servants prepared for me. Well, that Friday came, and the old woman, she checked in with me again, and she said, how are you? I said, "I am hale and hearty. I'm ready." "Then be there. Be there before noon on Friday." She said, "But you may want to go to the bath beforehand and wash off any of that illness that still lingers with you." I said, I do not need to go for a bath, for I've already washed myself with water. And it's true, I had. And I had also perfumed and scented myself with incense. "What I do need," I said, I should shave my head, though, before I go. And thinking that, her nodding in agreement, I sent one of my servants out, and I said, "Bring to me a barber, a discreet barber, one who will not be meddling in my affairs and who will just simply get the job done and be done. Find a barber like that and bring him at once." My servant went out, and not very long later, returned with this wretched man that you see before you. I will stop the story there, as Scheherazade did, wondering what might happen between this barber and the young man. I mean, all he was asked to do was shave his head. Okay, thanks for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day.